Hey guys, Legendaray here, and welcome back to another Clash Royale video, and depending on how quickly I can edit this video, the 20-win challenge should have started earlier today. So hopefully you guys have had a crack at it, but today I'm going to be going over the top 5 card combinations to use in this current game. With some of the recent balance changes, we're seeing a bit of a shift in this month's meta, so of course these are going to be 5 card combinations that just synergize very well together. This current 20-win challenge is capped at a tournament standard level 9, so instead of having to worry about having these cards leveled up to max level, you just have to get them up to level 9 to be able to use them as effectively as possible. Of course, for each card combination, I'm going to be providing gameplay with a deck that I believe best utilizes that specific combination, as well as give you a breakdown of the synergy between those cards, as well as a couple of tips on how to use them effectively. Finally, at the end, I'm going to go over a few more examples of decks that use those combinations effectively so that you guys will have a wide variety of decks to choose from. All of these decks have been seen getting 12 wins in grand challenges or have made appearances in top ladder, so you know that these decks 100% work. But before we get into that, if you could please leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. Also, go check me out on Instagram and Twitter, links down below. And if you'd like to support me in game, feel free to use code Legendaray in the shop. Any support will be greatly appreciated. And with all that out of the way, let's get right into the card combinations. Number 1, Fisherman plus Hunter. Now, I believe that this is a card combination that has seen a massive resurgence due to the recent buff of the Fisherman, and the kind of obvious synergy between the two cards is pretty simple, right? The Fisherman will pull troops into the Hunter, while the Hunter will just blast everything away at point blank range. But there's actually a bit more complexity when it comes to the two cards. Obviously, what I stated earlier is one of the most common uses, but it can also be used to deal with splash, especially when you're against a deck with a big spell such as lightning or rocket. You really don't want to group the Fisherman and the Hunter together. Therefore, by spacing out the Fisherman and the Hunter, you still have the ability of pulling troops where you want to, while also using the Hunter at a bit of a farther range, thus allowing it to deal with a lot of splash units, as well as still get quite a bit of significant damage from a distance. Finally, it can also be used to pick apart pushes. For example, if you have a big tank coming down the lane with some supporting units behind, you can use the Fisherman to pull the big tanks out of the way, making room for that Hunter to sneak in behind and take care of any of the supporting units. Last but not least, in my opinion, the Hunter and the Fisherman are both just tier A cards in this current meta, so each of the cards can function very effectively in their own right. Now, in the background, you can see me playing this Royal Giant deck. And what's so effective about this combination in this specific deck is that the Fisherman can just pull out any counters that the opponent may have to that Royal Giant, allowing the Hunter to take care of them, allowing for Royal Giant shot upon Royal Giant shot onto your opponent's tower. This combination is also seen in a few balloon decks, a few graveyard decks, some minor control decks, as well as a couple of giant beatdown decks as well. Number 2, Royal Hogs plus Heal Spirit. Now, this card combination is a little bit more specific, as in it's really only seen in one specific archetype, but in this current meta, Royal Hogs and Heal Spirit together just form such a great duo. At tournament standard, Royal Hogs have about 695 HP, meaning that a single Heal Spirit connection is going to heal about 1/3 of the health of those Royal Hogs, meaning that those Royal Hogs are going to get a lot more chip damage onto the tower. That's another reason why this specific combination is so effective. Most Royal Hog decks rely on getting chip damage upon chip damage onto the tower, and because those Royal Hogs have such a fast first attack speed, the extra HP is going to allow those Hogs to break through much more easily and allow for those extra 1 or 2 hits. Now, more often than not, this card combination is also going to be comboed with other Fireball bait as well as medium HP units, because again, that Heal Spirit can just get even more value when comboed with even more medium health troops. All in all, if you're looking for a deck that is all about chip damage as well as double lane pressure, then these two cards are definitely a must-have in any of those decks. Now, of course, again, there's really only one archetype that this combination is seen with, but I'll put a couple of variations on screen right now so that you guys can find one that you guys would like to use. Number 3, Ice Wizard Tornado. Oh man, this combination is just super annoying to face, especially if it's used in Ice Bow. Now, this combination is mostly going to be seen in control type decks because the Ice Wizard and the Tornado are two cards that can really control how units move on the arena. Of course, the Ice Wizard will slow units and then the Tornado will just straight up pull them to wherever on the arena that you want. So, what makes this so effective in specifically control type decks is because control decks rely on your towers to get as much value as possible on defense. Therefore, by using the Ice Wizard to slow down units, then your towers are going to have more time to get more value. Similarly, by combining that with the Tornado, you're pulling units away and buying even more time for your towers to get even more value. In addition to that, the Ice Wizard obviously deals splash damage, so as with any splash unit, it synergizes well with the Tornado just because of the fact that when those troops are grouped together, splash units can technically get infinite value. Therefore, this makes for a relatively easy combination to play that also is able to pretty much control entire pushes when used properly. Most of the time, these decks will have a small tank such as a Knight or an Ice Golem to provide some additional tankage and protect that Ice Wizard as well. Now, like I said earlier, the most common combination that this is seen in is in Ice Bow, but the combination has also been seen in Graveyard, Golem, as well as some balloon decks. Number 4. Sparky and Mini P.E.K.K.A. Now, this is a card combination that you might not expect to actually synergize well together, but I believe once I kind of break it down, you guys will see the synergy between the two. Now, of course, these two cards are mostly only seen in one archetype, and that is kind of pseudo beatdown decks. And of course, the goal of that is to be able to build up a big enough push to be able to break through onto your opponent's tower. And obviously, the biggest treat in this deck is to be able to get a Sparky hit onto that tower. Now, the reason why I love this card combination so much is that they are two cards that actually fill the same role but are at two widely different elixir costs. This means that if you use the two cards together, you'll basically be able to take out tanks in pretty much any situation. The Sparky can be used to take out any heavy tanks that are placed in the back, but the Mini P.E.K.K.A can be played more reactively at pushes that your opponent may place right at the bridge, and when you may not have that 6 elixir to be able to save up that Sparky, not to mention the 4 seconds that it takes to actually charge up a shot. Finally, this card combination also allows you more freedom to build up pushes. For example, if you're trying to build up a push because this is a beatdown type deck, in many situations you're going to want to play a Sparky in the back. Now, normally that would leave you quite vulnerable because then you've basically just used up your major tank killer, but of course, if you have the Mini P.E.K.K.A in there, you still have 4 elixir in the bank, meaning that you should be able to play down a Mini P.E.K.K.A to effectively deal with any push in the opposite lane. Now again, this card combination really is only seen in one archetype, but there are again multiple variations, and I'll include quite a few of them on screen right now for those of you to check out. Number 5. Miner Poison. Now, this card combination is one of the most well-known card combinations in the entire game. Obviously, Miner is an archetype that is really meant to try and get chip damage onto the tower. You know, the shovel hits over time can really deal lots and lots of damage, and by combining that with the poison spell, the poison will obviously take care of both small as well as medium health units that the opponent places to try and take out that Miner. Now, what I really love about this combination, and more specifically the reason why this combination so easily will make this list, is because of the versatility of this combination. These two cards can fit in almost any archetype effectively due to the cheap elixir cost of both cards. The cheapness of the cards allow you to really easily slot in a secondary win condition, as well as provide the place of an effective medium spell for you to use. For example, if you're just straight up using a miner control deck, then the goal is to get as many miners onto the tower as possible to get, 1, 2, 3 hits over and over again, and then use that poison spell occasionally to spell away units and get some extra value onto that tower. Alternatively, if you're using like a beatdown deck or a deck with more tanks, then the goal of this combination is to send in those miners in combination with pushes while the tower is distracted. This is because the tower is going to be distracted on your major push, your opponents are going to be spending all their elixir trying to take out whatever you're sending in, and then that miner is just going to be chilling in the back of the tower getting shovel shovel hit after shovel hit after shovel hit, and trust me, that damage really does add up. Currently, the most common decks running minor poison are in those wall breaker cycle decks, but of course there are plenty of other variations, so of course I will put them on screen right now. So there we go. Those are the top 5 card combos that I would suggest you guys use in Clash Royale. These are all cards that synergize super duper well together, and for those of you that like to build your own decks, these are definitely some of the top choices that I would recommend you guys include. Best of luck in the current 20-win challenge to you all, but unfortunately guys, that's all I've got time for in today's episode. Huge thanks to all of my channel members. You guys are the absolute G's. If you enjoyed, please leave a like down below, as well as a subscription to my channel, and as always, this is Legendaray, and I'm signing off. See you guys next time.